Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's session. Just like we promised, we have a guest. We started the resume bootcamp on the 1st of this month, and it ends on Saturday, which is the 12th of October. We thought it wise to have other perspectives, bring in professionals in this field. And today we have one of such professionals, Mr. Alex Adams. He's the principal consultant at Noble Stars Consults, as well as the executive director at the Hive Network Africa. He'll be sharing some insights with us today on resumes. Of course, to land your dream job or your next big job, you need to ensure that your resume speaks for you. And like I would always say, your resume is a marketing tool that markets you. And your resume will speak for you in rooms where you will not be present to defend yourself. And he'll be shedding a lot of light today. Thank you. So I'll just mute now and pass the button over to Mr. Adams. Thank you, Alex. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. Please confirm you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Thank you so much, Alo. Thank you so much to the organizers of this bootcamp. It's great to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. I do not take it for granted. Like she rightly said, my name is Alex Adams, the principal consultant at Noble Stars International Consult and the executive director at the Hive Network Africa. Today, we'll just talk over some few things. I know it's a bootcamp. You have looked into your CV, you have looked into interviews. So just drop some few key points, just have some brief conversation, and then we call it night. All right. So I hope we'll be able to run through what we have slated for today as quickly as possible. My core focus is going to be beyond the traditional means. I'm sure you have been told or you have learned from the previous classes during the bootcamp how to prepare your CV as well as acing your interviews, but there are just a few key points we're going to talk about. So we'll be looking at, during the course of this lecture, we'll be looking at personal branding and your resume, submitting your applications, preparing for interview, presenting yourself in the interview, handling virtual interviews, common interview mistakes, and then we'll look at some other takeaways from this class. So we won't really hammer on whether to put your date of birth or to put your favorite color on your resume. I'm sure you've had that class. Okay, so we'll just go into those few things. All right. At any point, if you can't hear me clearly, please do want to draw my attention so that I can come back if possible. It's important. The idea is for you to learn something, and if you cannot hear me, then you are not learning something. Okay. All right. So let's begin. We will start first by looking into personal branding and your resume. First of all, your resume is a summary of who you are, your professional qualification, the summary of your personality and your professional background. So when we talk about resume, or when we talk about your CV, we are basically saying, give us a narration, give us a summary of your personality, give us a summary of your professional background, your professional qualification, how far you've come and where you hope to get to. All right, your CV can tell us all of those things. And it's, of course, common knowledge while you're putting together your CV, you're putting together key information that would help any recruiter at any point in time to quickly make a decision about you. If you fill it up with informations that are not necessary, informations that are not basically needed, you're going to run into challenges with landing a job. We are looking at landing the next job, right? The reason why that is that recruiters go through lots of um, resumes whenever a job advert is being placed, and they won't have time to check your state of origin, your nationality, your hobbies. They won't have time to check what your favorite food is or your favorite color. All of those things are not needed in your CV. What you need in your CV, at the top, it's your name, your contact information. Next, your professional summary. You're talking about your work experience. You're talking about your education. You're talking about certificates and licensing and every other thing that you have to aid um your presentation of your professional background. Now, I want to go deeper by talking about personal branding and your resume. Now, your resume is often the first impression, any employer, have about you. It's the first impression. Before you sit across the table from them, you have those those two kinds of first impressions, the one where you sit across the table from them and also the one where your CV gets to their desk. Now your resume goes before you, your resume goes ahead of you and communicates on your behalf to any potential employers, to anybody that would need your services. And so you need to craft your resume. You need to have effective personal branding on your resume to ensure that your resume accurately reflects your unique value proposition. What do we mean by that? What is personal branding? Personal branding has to do with what people say about you when you are not there. All right? What people say about you when you're not there is your personal branding. The effect you leave, your name can leave. It's your personal branding. How people perceive you, how people see you is your personal branding. So these are things that you need to communicate and translate into your CV. So we are looking at not just your professional background, we are looking at your how your core values, translate into these things. We're talking about discipline, you're talking about integrity, and a host of others. You have to now insert them into your resume. What do I mean? I'm not saying you should create a section on your resume and say core values. No, we don't do that. But what you do is that you begin to put those core values into your statements, into your experiences as you talk about them and as you narrate them. You're talking about leadership, for instance, you have to state it in your description of a particular experience, for instance. You're talking about integrity. You have to insert it, look for a scenario or look for a statement to use to insert it into your CV. So your personal branding is very important. It translates also into how you prepare your CV. Now, personal branding is now just is beyond core value, just like I have talked about now. It also talks about excellence. Now, excellence translates into how your CV is prepared. A lot of people make a big mistake of preparing their CVs with their mobile devices. They just open up notes app on the phone and just type up a bunch of things, and then they say they have prepared their CV. They go to the cyber cafe, they have it printed out, and at the end of the day, you'll be looking at somebody's CV, and the fonts are so big because it was done on a mobile device. They could not even tell the size of the font. The CV is not well arranged. because, of course, you did it on your mobile device. You cannot format your CV properly. There is a consistency of font. You're using Times New Roman here. You're using Rubet here. You're using Montserrat here. You're using Arial here. All right. You see those little things, begins to translate. It shows your person. It shows who you are as an individual. All right. As little as it may look, as it may sound, after all, I have first class. Your first class will not count for me as a recruiter if you come with such kind of a CV. Because the first thing that comes to my mind is you don't even have time to arrange yourself. You don't even have time to ensure that whatever you're doing is in order, is presentable. How much more the job you're going to get? All right. So your personal brand talks about your values, talks about excellence. So how you arrange your CV, it's very, very important. The consistency of fonts that you use, the consistency of font sizes that you use, how you talk about yourself in your CV is also very important. All right. You don't talk about yourself as though yourself is you are one far-fetched person that you don't have an idea who they are. You don't talk about yourself in a manner that you are not confident about who you are. You don't talk about yourself without making strong points of your unique abilities and the values that you possess, that people would see and say, yes, this is the kind of person I want. We go through some CVs sometimes, and even before meeting the person, we already know that this is somebody who is eager to learn just by reading your CV. We already see some CVs and we look at it and we know that this is somebody who, excuse me, this is somebody who would find it difficult to work with a team or to learn. We already know that this person does not value continuous growth, for instance. All of those things matter. All of those things are important. And when we talk about personal branding, we talk about how you can transform your personality, into your CV. Now, let's break it down to practical things and let's see how we can talk about your personal brand. All right, in your CV. Of course, your opening statement in your CV is a professional summary that is talking about who you are. That is the perfect example for you to talk about your key values or key personal values, your unique proposition, those things. That is a perfect place to talk about it. If you know that excellence is one of your personal values and you operate by it, even after you have ensured that your CV has excellence to it, it's at your professional summary, you have the opportunity to talk about how you love being excellent. Mind you, your professional statement is not, or your personal statement is not where you have so many sentences, so many lines to say a lot of things. You just have about 3 lines or 4 max to say, to talk about your professional self. But that is a place where you have the opportunity to communicate all of those things while pushing your professional background and standing. So the language you use to talk, to communicates those values. All right. And then we begin to see it in the rest of your CV. I don't know if you are still with me. Are we still together? Can you hear me? Are we still together? Oh, am I?
Yes, we are. So they can't speak. Attendees cannot speak. They can
Oh,
only
okay.
chat. Yes. So you
Okay.
can
So,
ask for a thumbs up or a reaction.
all right. So let's do that. Huh? As we talk, let us see your reactions, your thumbs up, or you can just drop a message on the chat so that I can know that you're following um, the conversation as we're having it. Okay. All right. So You need to know how to infuse your personal branding into your resume. Define what makes you unique and what value you bring to a potential employer. You need to state it. There is something organizations have, products have it, and humans also have it. Individuals have it. It's called unique selling point, USP. Every product has what we call USP. That is why the Apple products, they have something unique that they want to sell to their clients. Samsung has something unique they want to sell to their clients. Samsung has something that makes them stand out from Techno, and the Techno also have something that makes them stand out from Infinix, right? And at the same time from Apple, iPhone, right? As individuals, as human beings, we also have our own unique selling point. We have what makes us unique. We have value that we're bringing. And let me just say this, employers do not employ people who do not bring value to the table. They don't want liabilities, they want assets in individuals. All right. So you need to define it in your resume what makes you unique and the value you are bringing. If you have 20 years experience in, take for instance, you have 20 years experience in drafting contracts, that is value. Say, I'm coming with my 20 years experience drafting contracts, right? You're a lawyer, but you specifically have very, very good abilities when it comes to drafting of contracts. You're very good at it. Of course, you can do every other legal work, but when it comes to contracts, nobody takes the ground with you. You have to state it so that they would know that you are coming with this added advantage. We once hired a graphic designer for graphics because one of the unique selling points she had, or one of the values she was going to bring to us, was that she could do motion graphics. We were talking about still graphics, and then she highlighted it that she is proficient in motion graphics. For us, that is a plus already. It's a plus. So we don't need to go down this road to get this person. We can easily get this person, all the person in, have some conversation, see how we can also add a little bit of conversation so that they can come in and work with us. All right. So you need to define it, what it is exactly that makes you unique and what value you bring to your employer. Let me also say this, that you need to tailor your CV. I'm sure you have been told that already in previous modules. You need to tailor your CV to each application you're making. I'm making an application to a school. I'm making an application to a financial institution. I'm making an application to a management institution. I'm making an application to hospitality, health, uh, whatever you're making an application to. You need to tailor it. Listen, the mistake we make a lot of times is that we think that our experience is totally tied to just one um, industry. It's all about presentation, how you present it, that matters in your CV. So in each of your CV, you define how what makes you unique affects the next individual you're coming, or the next place you're coming into. You are coming from a place, for instance, where you have excellent team leadership abilities in management. You can literally uproot that and move it to the health sector and say, I have excellent abilities in team management where I can work with all the teams easily within the clinic. It's just how you say it, it's just how you present it that matters. So don't think that because your unique abilities or your experience was gotten from the education industry does not mean that you cannot apply it to the health sector or the hospitality sector or even the banking sector. All right. That is why you see banks today, they don't just employ banking and finance graduates. They employ from everywhere. Why? Because you can always do transference of skills. You can transfer skills. Your ability to transfer skills is very important, especially when you're applying to a job you have zero experience in, but you've had experiences in other areas before. Your ability to transfer those skills that you've gotten from there, from A to B, is very important. And you must be able to communicate it. Right? Your potential employer needs to see that you're able to transfer these skills that you have gotten from being a paralegal, for instance, to becoming an administrator in their consulting firm. All right. They need to see that you have the ability to do that. And what or how you're going to do that is by defining it. How you present it matters a lot. So you need to present it. I was talking about your professional summary earlier on. You see, that point is the maker and or breaker of resumes, is the maker and breaker of any application you're making. Once I read through your professional summary, I know what to expect with your work experience and your education and whatever it is that you have left from your professional summary. When I look at your professional summary and I see it as just, that basic professional summary, an hardworking individual who aims who is looking for an organization to put in effort to help the organization achieve organizational goals. Those are just too basic. I don't expect anything good to come out at the end of the day, because it's clear that you're just looking for the next company to just dash in, to just be a part of, and just start working and earn money. You are not ready to transfer value. You are not ready to bring value. You don't have anything unique. So on your professional summary, that is the key point. You are talking about what what you have accomplished, what is unique about you, what value you are bringing to that organization. You may not be stating the organization's name on a professional summary, but in such a way that the organization would see it and they will feel as though you are talking to them. They will feel it's personal. They will feel you're talking to them. And the mistake we make a lot is that we just make a generalized CV and then we put generic terms, generic words, generic information on it, and then we start distributing it to everybody. If you want to really make an impact with your CV and with your application, you need to know how to, tailor your CV to every specific role that you have. Not all of your experiences also would, count in some cases. There are some applications you need to make. You have to remove some experience and don't put it there because it will not help you. There are some you need to make. You need to know how to transfer the experience or the skills you have there to the new industry. All right. So I've talked about two things majorly now. I've talked about your professional summary and how you need to craft it. Remember, talk about your unique selling point. Talk about that thing that makes you stand out and your value proposition. What value you are bringing to your professional employer. Talk about it there. Then ensure that whatever work related experience or education, internship program that you have done supports what you have talked about at the beginning, supports what you have listed out as your key skills and competencies. You cannot say you have key skills and competencies, for instance, graphic design, video editing, motion design, illustration, and then after saying this is your key skills and competencies, we go to your education. It has nothing to do with that. We go to your previous work experience. It has nothing to do with that. We go to your licenses and certifications. You have not even done one certification course on graphic design. There's nothing that has to affect to that. It is a disjointed CV already. But when you have something and you're saying key competencies, your skills, you're talking about management, and then we are saying that in your education, you did something relating to management. Even if you did not do anything relating to management, you have study courses or certifications that would help you with management. I did a course on management fundamentals. I did a course on managing people and culture. I did a course. It begins to support the statement you have made earlier. Remember what I said, whatever it is we read in your professional summary gives us an insight of what the rest of your CV is going to entail. If it's empty there, we bet you that the rest is also empty. If it's full, we are looking forward to really impactful stuff at the other half of your CV. All right, so it's very important that you do that. Okay, so let us talk about submitting your application. I hope we understand what we just talked about our CVs. Those few things that we need to add to our CV. We have said a host of other things. Please, you can share some emojis or drop a message in the chat section so I know you are hearing what I'm saying. Okay, hear what I'm saying. Please, so that I know you're following us. All right, so let us look at submitting your application. Once again, this is where people also get it wrong, where they want to submit their applications. All right, it is okay. See, let me paint something for you. It's double jeopardy, right? So you have people who their CVs is not even well presented, and when they are now submitting the application, they are submitting it all wrong in a shabby manner that is not professional at all. Ladies and gentlemen, follow instructions on applications. I recruit a lot of people. I've sat across a lot of persons seeking for employment, and I will tell you for a fact that 60 to 70% of the time they don't follow instruction. And the reason that is because they don't take their time to read the application guideline. They don't take their time to go through the application, to go through the job description, what is needed of them. As a matter of fact, they don't go through that process. They just see a job and they say manager wanted. Quickly press apply and submit your CV and walk away. That is the mistake people make, and then they begin to receive tons and tons of rejection emails. You're not even invited for interviews because you don't follow instruction. You need to look at your application details and the application guidelines that the company has publicized. As a matter of fact, you should use whatever it is that has been said to tailor your CV and your cover letter. All right, you should use that. All right, so when you're submitting your application, follow instructions. Listen, never you submit your CV in document. Always submit your CV as PDF, not in document, not in Word document. Always use the PDF format to submit your CVs. All right, follow the instructions. If they tell you upload, you upload. If they tell you don't upload, fill out a form, you fill out a form. All right, you need to do that. When you're submitting, use keywords in your application. Those keywords are words that whenever the interviewer is going through or the HR professional is going through your application, you are saying things that is taking their mind back to the position again. So you are using keywords in your application that were used in the application advert. Like I said earlier on, tailor your resume and your cover letter, align them with the job requirement and the needs of the company. Align them. So your resume, look at what is needed, what they are looking for. So they may be looking for somebody with 2 years experience, but then again, they want somebody with a solid background in, let's say, a Microsoft suite, right? You need to tailor your resume, show that you are not just qualified for the job of the manager, but you have a solid background in Microsoft suite. By reading through that job guideline, the application guideline, by reading through the job requirement and of the advert that has been made, you'll be able to tell these things. You'll be able to see what the company wants. You'll be able to see what the job entails. You'll be able to see what the company is expecting you as an applicant, to have, to possess the skills. You will see what the company is expecting that you will bring to the table. And so you begin to incorporate these things into your cover letter and into your resume. It is very, very important that you do that. Never, never, never you ignore those. It is usually it's a long read, but read it. Never ignore it, right? Because in it lies things that may disqualify you from getting the job, or things that will ensure that your CV, your resume is on the top of the pile. All right. So always go through the description of a job. Check about the company, check about the job, check about the role of the job, check what the company is expecting from the individual. Some companies will tell you, we are expecting from an individual somebody who will work so and so time, somebody who will be able to do this, who will be able to do that. If you know you cannot be able to do that, you do not need to even start at all. All right, so do that. Secondly, or fourthly, submit your applications early. It is very important that you do that. The earlier you submit your applications, the easier it is for you. Trust me, you don't like submitting your applications late. The reason why is that most employers, they go through applications on a rolling basis, especially big corporations. They don't go through the entire, they go through on a rolling basis. And what that means is that they begin to do first come, first serve. So as you come, they begin to look at your CV on a rolling basis. Once they find what is perfect for them, they will take it and everybody else will go without them going through the rest. All right. So you don't want to find yourself in that position. Apply as early as possible when you see a job. Use a clear subject line if you have to send an email. You are sending an email. I have received several job application via emails, and I just look at it and I laugh and I shake my head. It's obvious some of them were not even invited for interviews at all, because you sent an email, your the subject of the email is not clear. You just said uh, job application. Job application is your email subject, and then without saying anything, you just attach your CV and then you send it. Without saying anything, you just attach your CV and then you send it. It's very, very unprofessional and very wrong. And a lot of times you will just see a, Microsoft document that has been attached without saying anything, without saying, hello, this is who I am. I came across your application for this. I think I am the best fit. Please find attached to this email my resume for your consideration. You know, whatever it is you're saying on that email is basically what you have said on your cover letter, right? But then you attach them to the email before you send them. Be very clear and specific. So your subject line for your email should include the job title and a reference number if possible. If you are applying to some multinational corporations, they always have a reference number for their jobs. All right. So include the job title and the reference number, because the reference number will help them to determine which particular job or which particular offering you applied for. It is very, very important. Always include a cover letter in your application, unless it is explicitly stated otherwise that you should not. But you should always include a cover letter in your application. Very, very, very important. All right. Very, very important. Now, use a professional email. Ensure that your email address is professional. That is one of the mistakes that a lot of us also make. We think it is something that we cannot see, or it's something that would not mean much. However, it is something that actually carries so much weight, and people do not know. When you're sending an email, you send an email and it's reading, for instance, you're a doctor, you've applied, and then you say, search for real 2007 at yahoo.com. Search for real 2007 at yahoo.com. It's an unprofessional kind of email. All right. So your email should always carry your full name. So ensure that your email address is a professional email address. If you don't have a professional email address, now is the time to open one and get one going for you. All right. Now that you have submitted your applications, will want to look at preparing for interview. Basically, all we have been doing is just trying to um, um, summarize all what we've been learning so far during the bootcamp. Now, while you prepare for your interview, after you have received your interview invitation, one of the key things that you need to do is to research the company. And that, again, is also one of the many mistakes a lot of people make with their application, is that they don't even know anything concerning the company that they are applying to. I've seen people, I've interviewed them. You're coming to apply as strategic partnership manager for my firm. I'm asking you, what are you bringing to the network? Or I'm asking you, tell us, what do you know about the Hive Network Africa? And you're stuttering because you did not even do your research to know what the company is about. You so you you so the questions you're even answering are not or the solutions per se you're presenting to um, um, the problems you perceive the company would have are solutions that would not work, because you have failed to realize that, first of all, the company is a non-profit organization, so you don't even know that they can't do some certain things. And then there you are talking about those things because you did not do your research about the organization. So it's very important that you do your research about the organization, understand the values of the organization, understand the mission, understand the current challenges that the organization may be facing. It is very, very important. These things would help you while you're communicating during the interview, make the employer knows that you are very, very much interested, not just in the job, but in the company and in the success of the company. You need to know the company products and services. What is the offering that the company have? What are the offerings the company is giving? If they don't have product, what services do they have? You need to find out those things. You need to also prepare yourself for those very, very common questions. Why should we hire you? Tell me about yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Why should we hire you? And you're responding that the place is vacant now. Don't you need somebody to fill it up? Tell me about yourself. It's not the time for you to tell me I'm the fourth child of six from Mundokwa East local government, and that is not the time for all of that. Your answer to these questions needs to be professional and concise, straight to the point. Tell me about yourself. This is the opportunity you have to bring forth that thing you have said in a professional summary, and then make it more personal and just talk about that. All right. It's not an avenue for you to say, I am a married man with 3 children. My wife is from Sokoto. I am from Taraba, and I went to school in Kaduna, and I did my postgraduate in Benin, and I did my Kene Kinekon in so place. I love orange and I love reading books, my hobby. That's not what I want to know about you. As tempting as it is that question is what it's going to say, that's not what I want to know about you. When I say, tell me about you, I want to know your professional background. I want to know who you are professionally, your core values, and a host of other things. I am a man who believes in excellence, and that is because over the years, I have worked into some so projects and I have delivered excellent results on this kind of projects. In 2015, I was able to do this. In 2016, I was able to get this done. In 2017, I landed a $20 million project for my client. It was excellent delivered. Those are what I want to know about you, your character, your work ethics, and a host of other things. Why should we hire you? Is as good as you talking about what we talk about in your personal statement, your value proposition. Why should we hire you? The value that you are bringing to the table. That is what they want to know. Basically, tell us, what are you bringing to the table? That is the question. Why should we hire you? Is what are you bringing to the table? That's the question. The question is not, hire me because I'm fair. Hire me because I have first class. It is, what are you bringing to the table? There are a lot of persons with first class that will not get a job and a third class will get a job is because they have something that they are bringing to the table. These days, organizations are not so much focused on your certificate, but rather on your certificate. What do I mean? They are not just focused on your first class degrees, they are more concerned about your skills and your abilities and the value you are ready to bring to the table. If you have so much value, so much skills to bring to the table, your first class would not matter to them. Your third class would not matter to them, in as much as you can deliver on those skills that you have highlighted. All right. So you need to position all of those things into why should we hire you? That question. That is what they're asking you. Prepare for it. In fact, you should have it stored up in your head. All right. You should have it stored up in your head. And then we talked about they are going to ask you, of course, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. I need you to be very careful when you're talking about your weaknesses. All right. Yeah, it's good to highlight some of your weaknesses, but at the same time, do not overemphasize your weaknesses. Emphasize your strengths more than you emphasize your weaknesses. And if you have to talk about your weaknesses, ensure that they are not weaknesses that would cost you the job. What are your weaknesses? I sleep. Oh. God, I sleep. I love to sleep. I love to sleep. No matter all what you have said, they are looking at you and they're like, this will just be sleeping at work. She'll just be sleeping at work, right? So you need to know how to craft those two things. Always emphasize on your strengths. Emphasize on your strengths. For instance, you have 1 minute to answer this question. You are going to use 50 seconds to talk about your strengths and the rest 10 seconds to talk about your weaknesses, right? Always hammer on your strengths. And of course, I'm sure you are aware of what the STAR method is for behavioral questions, situation, task, action, and result. Practice that method. Spend time with it and practice it. It is very, very important. Now that you are done preparing for your interview, you now need to go for your interview. Now, here is it. You need to understand something that your first impression is not just about being professional, it's about being memorable. You want somebody to remember you. You want to leave a lasting impact in the minds of everybody around you. All right. You want to leave a memorable impact in the minds of your employer. You want to do that. All right. And so your first impression matters a lot. And we make a lot of mistakes when it comes to physical and even virtual interviews, all right, in landing our jobs. All right. One of the mistakes that we make before I go into what's there presenting yourself in the interview is that we prepare our CVs and we have forgotten what we put down in that CV before we go to the uh, interview venue. Right? And so you're talking and they are looking at your CV and they can't see what you're talking about because you did not um, cross-check and go through your CV that you're presenting. Let's not forget that you tailored your CV for that role, right? So you need to always look at that CV and know what is written in there while you go for your interview. Okay. So now let's look at presenting yourself in the interview. First impressions always very, very important. You want to arrive early for your interviews. You don't want to be there late. Your interviews is starting by 9 o'clock. You don't want to be walking in there by 9 o'clock. All right. You don't want to be in time. You want to be on time. All right. You don't want to arrive just in time. You want to arrive. You want to be there on time. All right. So for first impressions, you need to arrive early. You need to dress appropriately for the company culture. Be confident and be positive. All right. I'm going to stay a little bit on your dressing. It is very, very important. I know we live in a generation where we believe that dressing does not really matter. It is who I am, blah, 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 and a host of other things. Listen, let me just tell you the truth. It will always count in the workplace how you dress. I don't care to know how liberal you are. It will always count in the workplace how you dress. Imagine you walk into a bank and you see your cashier on short sleeves, tattoos over his hand, piercing on his nose and on his ears, long dreads, on his head, and is not even putting on tie and he wants to collect your money, on the comment section, please tell me, would you want to give that person your money? How would you feel, dealing with such kind of a customer representative at the bank? Would you be comfortable with it? Hmm? Let's talk in the chat section. Just drop your opinion. Would you be comfortable with it? You walk into the bank and the cashier that wants to collect money from you is putting on short sleeves, tattoos from his hand from beginning to the end, dread, one side is gold, piercings on his nose and on his ears, and a host of other things. You would not. That is because, of course, it is because your outfit, your dressing matters in an organization. Whether you are working there yet or not, it matters. And the mistake we make is that when I start the job, I will not buy my suit. I would not. No, it is you start from the interview. There is a popular, there's a meme going around about um, a lady who talked about going for an interview, and then she said, very demure, very mindful. And then she said, how I appear in the interview is how I'm going to appear for work. So she's giving you a preview of, hey, look, this is me. This is how I come for interviews, and this is how I'm going to come for work. All right. So all of those things are very, very important. How you dress matters a lot. Ladies, slippers, guys, palms. It's a no-no when you're going for interviews. Put on your shoes. Even if it's a tech company where okay, this is the dress according to the organization culture. Look at it very, very well before you do that, so that you can understand the culture. You can understand what is applicable there. There was something I saw on Twitter about some guy who was cussing out somebody else because the person went for interview and she was sent out of the office. Why? Because she had piercings on her nose. She wore leg chains, and she had the pant trousers she was wearing was so tight, her underwears were showing underneath, and she was interviewing for a personal assistant role. How can you dress in that manner as a lady, right? And your cleavage, your piercing, your leg chain, your over tight trousers, and you want to be the personal assistant to a married man who is an executive. The man was so angry and aggressively walked her out of the office. And they came on Twitter and they were shouting, what happened to Kini? What happened to this? Decency matters a lot. Ladies, guys, decency matters a lot. All right. You need to dress appropriately for the company culture that you're going to. And then you need to be confident and positive. Your body language is very also important. It is not the time for you to sit down and then you're looking at your feet, or you're sitting down, you're so relaxed. You're so relaxed. You sit down, cross your leg, and no, now is not the time for that. Be confident, sit upright. If you want to lean forward a little bit so that it will look as though you are very much engaging in the conversation, just as I am doing right now. Okay, you can lean forward a little bit. All right, it will help you. Okay, very, very important. Ensure to make eye contact when they are talking to you. Nod. Let them know that you're receiving information, right? So they are saying, you're nodding your head. If you're saying one or two things, if you agree with it, you agree with it. Ensure that you make eye contact and your body language is speaking. Ensure that you pay attention to the interviewer's question. You should not be thinking about something else, or else you would miss a point and then you would not answer the question that they've asked. I need you to also answer your questions clearly and concisely. Be concise about it. Don't just take questions like that. Be concise about it. Short, very, very informative. All right. So that is how to present yourself during the interview. Right. We're almost done. Handling virtual interviews. Now, what we talked about is for physical interviews, but it's also applicable to your virtual interviews. So, in other words, in addition to those things we just talked about, you need to ensure that your camera, your microphone, your internet connection are all working. I had to interview somebody one time like that for a role that was going to pay 800,000. for instance. Actually, that was the cost, the price for that role. He was going to pay that role. And then you're having the interview, you're in a room that is not well lit, you're in a place that is so noisy, we could hear cats and cars. And the most annoying of that interview was that I was interviewing both the lady and some goats. Literally, from the window outside, some goats were just shouting for God knows why. All right. So you need to, before your virtual interview, ensure that you have good lighting, ensure that you have a good setting for you to sit down, and you have a quiet location for your interview. Ensure that your camera is well positioned. A lot of people would have cameras that would show. There was a lady I had to tell her, come on, please adjust your camera so that we can see you clearly. Why? Because our video started from here, from her chin, right? It started from here upward, and then the space was just showing her roof. And we were telling her to adjust throughout the interview. And for some reason, she was not adjusting it. I don't know what she was putting on that she was trying to hide. But it was a no-no for us. We didn't proceed with that interview and with calling her back for the next phase. So you need to understand this. These things are very important when it comes to virtual interviews. All right. You need to maintain eye contact, nod, so that they will know that you're present and then you're hearing what they're saying. And then you need to keep your answers short and concise so that you can avoid lag or technical issues when you're talking during the interview. All right. All right. One of the mistakes we make, or these are some of the mistakes we make during our interviews when we go for jobs, is that one, we do not know the company's mission or the company products or services because we have failed to read about the company. That is one of the major mistakes applicants make when they're, or job seekers make. Two, negative talking poorly about your previous employers. It's a simple question. Why are you leaving your previous job? Especially when on your CV you say you are still working there. Why are you leaving? In that place, they used to be bad. They used to come in here. That person used to come and do this one. The boss there is no, it's a time for you to say, I think I have gotten to that point when I need to advance in my career, and I feel that your organization is the best place for me, to advance. It's as simple as that. You don't need to go bad mouthing, talking negatively about or talking poorly about your previous employers. All right. Also, don't be overconfident. I do this a lot. I ask my job seekers some questions. I can ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, what can you rate your communication skills? The reason I'm asking you that is because I've seen it clearly that you are not communicating rightly, or you're not communicating well, or you have issues with communication. And I'm asking you, what is it? And so then we tell you, my communication, I will say 9.8 over 10. 9.8 over 10. You are very, 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 very confident. You are so overconfident, it becomes detrimental to your application or to your what it is that you're seeking to do. So don't dominate the conversation or appear arrogant. Don't be overconfident. Don't dominate the conversation. Don't always be the one talking. They would ask you one sentence in 2 seconds, and in 5 minutes you are still talking. I had to interview somebody like that, and I told her straight up during the interview, my dear, you talk too much. Right? Would ask one question for entire 30 minutes, literally. She could not answer more than 3 questions in 30 minutes. Not because she did not know, but because she was talking. Talking. You cut her short, she's still coming in, she's still trying to cut you off and say, yes, you are telling her, okay, that's very good. We were looking out for that. And he's responding, yes, that is why you see in 2017, when I was working at so place, that was how you are started talking again. You need to stop that for real. Guys, you need to stop that. Don't dominate the conversation. Don't, so that you won't appear arrogant. Don't undersell yourself. Be confident, don't be overconfident, don't undersell yourself. All right. Avoid downplaying your skills, be confident in your skills. Don't come late. right? Plan to arrive 10-15 minutes early before your interview starts. Even if it is virtual, you are already there hanging around waiting to join the interview, all right? Don't rumble. If you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer. Don't hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? So don't do that. All right. We know these things. We know it. When you say, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You're thinking about your answer. We know it. All right. So don't make that mistake. Don't rumble. All right. And then always have a question prepared for your interviewer. All right. Don't always go there and say and think that you will just what's it called now? Just do the whole thing, collect all the questions, take answer, and walk away. Try to also ask questions. And your question should not be, so how much is the salary? All right. So that they won't think that you are there for the money. All right. Your question should actually help them know that you're showing interest in the um job or the company. Major takeaways, just like we've talked about, this is the end of the slide. I would answer a question. I think there's a question in the Q&A section. Build a strong and tailored resume. I have talked about your professional summary, how you're going to state your personal values, and how you're going to impute your personal brand into your resume, how you're going to present it also in your experiences. I talked about preparing research parties, plan your response. We talked about your first impression from your body language to how you dress to how you present yourself. And I'm going to say this, network. This is a bonus for you. Network online and in person. Even when you appear there, don't just sit by yourself with yourself for yourself at the interview or waiting area. Network with other people, greet other people. A lot of times, there are people who are sitting right there. They are watching all of you waiting for interview. I do it a lot also, especially when we want to do assessments. You are coming for interviews, we are all gathered. I'm watching you. I'm watching how you're interacting with the people you're just meeting for the first time. Right? Those things are very, very, very important. Okay, so I'm going to look at the question. Somebody asks, is it okay to make my cover letter as the email body while sending in the job application? Yes, you can do both. Your email can just be your cover letter. I have seen your job, blah, 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 blah. This is what I have, this is what I've done, this is what I've done. Attached is my resume for your consideration. When you attach your resume, also attach the cover letter in case they want to print and file. Right? So it's possible for you to make your cover letter or the content of your cover letter as the email body when you're sending in your job application. It's very important. As a matter of fact, it will give a very good first impression that you're really serious about the job you are applying for. Okay, I hope that answers your question. I hope that answers your question. All right. Is there any more question? Do I have any more question? Please, I'm right here to answer your questions before I hand over back to Hello. More question? Okay. Seems like there's no more question. Hello, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Again, I'll ask if there's any question because there are some questions you probably do not want to type. You like to speak, If would like to ask a question by speaking, can you raise your hand and we'll give you access to speak. But if there isn't any other question, then of course, I'm going to be saying thank you to Mr. Adams. Thank you so much. You went above and beyond. We talked about resume, but you didn't just do resume. You went ahead to touch on interviews so extensively. Again, I'm very happy with the fact that when you were speaking on the resume side, you were more or less, I was just smiling because you were hitting the nail on the head. And for anybody who has been in these sessions, these things are, should I say, you corroborated what we've learned, and that makes it so great. It makes it so special. So thank you for taking out time to spend over an hour with us and going above and beyond. You went way above what my expectations were, and I believe what the expectations of our attendees were. Thank you for honoring us and for teaching so extensively. Thank you so much. We look forward to hosting you some other time as well. We hope you would oblige when we call again.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, right. Thank you. And thank you everyone for finding out time. I know how busy it can be, especially because today is a work day. You come from work so tired and you still have to make out time to be here. Thank you, and see you on Saturday. On Saturday again, just as we know, it's our concluding session. So on Saturday is our module 4. Basically what we are going to be doing on Saturday is live review of the resumes we submitted, and so we can critique and make corrections, and you'll have them. Again, we have a template prepared for you at the end of this bootcamp. So you can use the template, customize it, repurpose it for yourself, putting everything you've learned together into practice. Again, that is going to happen, or we are going to send that to only those who are going to fill the feedback form, because we do not want to just send it to just anyone. And of course, all of my presentations as well to those who are going to fill the feedback form. And just so you know, the essence of having this bootcamp, the interview bootcamp, begins on the 16th of this month, while this bootcamp, the resume bootcamp, ends on the 14th, officially 14th, but our last session is going to be on the 12th. The essence of having this bootcamp is because we are having a job fair, second edition of our job fair in December, and we thought it wise to prepare candidates, job seekers ahead. So the first thing you need is a good resume, and we want to believe that anybody who attended this bootcamp from all the sessions should be able to come up with a very good resume to submit when the time comes for the job fair. And for anyone who's going to attend the interview bootcamp as well, we believe you are well equipped to sell yourself during an interview. Mr. has spoken extensively about what we are going to learn during the interview bootcamp. As a matter of fact, that I believe anybody who is going to be attending the interview bootcamp is going to, and attended this session, is going to be having like a recap of what he has touched on. So would encourage you to listen and listen again. That's why we have these sessions recorded, so you can always go to the channel and rewatch, and see where you are getting it right, where you need to make improvements and all of that. At the end of the day, what we at Project Get a Job after is for everyone to get a job, not just any job, the kind of job you would love to have, and retain the job as well. Thank you again, everyone, for finding out time to be here, and see you on Saturday. Bye for me. Bye, everyone.